time as before today and after. Another national tragedy. The 18-year-old shooter is also dead. Flags in the nation's capital are at half staff, and once again, President Biden will mine his personal experience with grief on behalf of the nation. The president just returned from his first trip to Asia, a trip that started not long after President Biden addressed the last mass shooting in Buffalo, playing the role of consoler-in-chief twice in less than 2 weeks. Today's shooting is the 212th mass shooting this year in stores, houses of worship, subways, and schools. And there have only been 144 days so far in 2022. Nicole Killian is at the White House. Nicole, the president has been on the phone apparently with the governor of Texas.
Yeah, that's right, John. The White House says President Biden spoke with Texas Governor Abbott earlier this evening aboard Air Force One as he was returning here to the United States from an overseas trip to Asia. He offered any and all assistance to the governor in the wake of this horrific shooting. Flags here at the White House have also been lowered to half staff. John?
And President and Dr. Biden have just entered the Roosevelt Room of the White House. Let's listen in.
Good evening, fellow Americans. I had hoped when I became president I would not have to do this again. Another massacre, Uvalde, Texas, an elementary school. Beautiful, innocent, second, third, fourth graders. And how many scores of little children who witnessed what happened see their friends die as if they're on a battlefield, for God's sake. They'll live with the rest of their lives. There's a lot we don't know yet. There's a lot we do know. The parents who will never see their child again, never have them jump in bed and cuddle with them. Parents who will never be the same. To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away. There's a hollowness in your chest. You feel like you're being sucked into it and never going to be able to get out. Suffocating. And it's never quite the same. It's a feeling shared by the siblings and the grandparents and the family members and the community that's left behind. Scripture says, Jill and I have talked about this in different contexts, in other contexts. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. So many crushed spirits. So tonight, I ask the nation to pray for them, give the parents and siblings the strength in the darkness they feel right now. As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name we do what we all know in our gut needs to be done? It's been 3,448 days, 10 years since I stood up at a high school in Connecticut, a grade school in Connecticut, where another gunman massacred 26 people, including 20 first graders at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Since then, there have been over 900 incidents of gunfires reported on school grounds. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Santa Fe High School in Texas. Oxford High School in Michigan. The list goes on, and the list grows when it includes mass shootings at places like movie theaters, houses of worship, as we saw just 10 days ago, the grocery store in Buffalo, New York. I am sick and tired of it. We have to act. And don't tell me we can't have an impact on this carnage. I spent my career as a senator and a vice president working to pass common sense gun laws. We can and won't prevent every tragedy, but we know they work and have positive impact. When we passed the assault weapons ban, mass shootings went down. When the law expired, mass shootings tripled. The idea that an 18-year-old kid can walk into a gun store and buy 2 assault weapons is just wrong. What in God's name do you need an assault weapon for except to kill someone? Deer aren't running through the forest with Kevlar vests on, for God's sake. It's just sick. And the gun manufacturers have spent 2 decades aggressively marketing assault weapons, which make them the most and largest profit. For God's sake, we have to have the courage to stand up to the industry. Here's what else I know. Most Americans support common sense laws, common sense gun laws. I just got off a trip from Asia, meeting with Asian leaders. And I learned of this while I was on the aircraft. And what struck me on that 17-hour flight, what struck me was these kinds of mass shootings rarely happen anywhere else in the world. Why? They have mental health problems. They have domestic disputes in other countries. They have people who are lost. But these kinds of mass shootings never happen with the kind of frequency they happen in America. Why? Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting this happen? Where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with it and stand up to the lobbies? It's time to turn this pain into action for every parent, for every citizen in this country. We have to make it clear to every elected official in this country, it's time to act. It's time for those who obstruct or delay or block the common sense gun laws. We need to let you know that we will not forget. We can do so much more. We have to do more. Our prayer tonight is those parents lying in bed and trying to figure out, will I be able to sleep again? What do I say to my other children? What happens tomorrow? May God bless the loss of innocent life on this sad day. And may the Lord be near the brokenhearted and save those crushed in spirit, because they're going to need a lot of help and a lot of our prayers. God love you.
President Biden speaking from the Roosevelt Room, where his first audible noise was a deep sigh before talking about how the parents of the school children who were murdered today will no longer be able to jump in bed and cuddle with them, referring to his own experience with grief, and then saying about the shooting, I'm sick and tired of it, about gun violence in America. He said, it's just sick. And he mentioned the gun lobby and asked when would America find the backbone to stand up against the gun lobby. He spoke for about 7 minutes. And now we go to Anayeli Ruiz, who is with our Houston affiliate, KHOU. She's on the scene in Uvalde, Texas. Anayeli?
Well, that's right. We're outside of the Civic Center where lots of parents continue to gather. All of these parents here looking for any kind of information on their children. These parents tell me they sent their kids to school this morning and then heard about the shooting and rushed here. They've been going to the hospital, calling even hospitals in San Antonio, but so far no response from authorities. They do tell me there's a list of some of the kids that are accounted for inside, but they tell me their kid's name is not on that list, so they're just waiting here for authorities to be able to provide them some kind of answers. Now, we do know that there are also some chaplains and counselors here available on site for the parents. But again, everyone just kind of anxiously and praying that their kid's name is not among those who have passed today. John?
Aniele Ruiz for us in Uvalde, Texas. Thank you. Our coverage will continue on CBS News Streaming, your local news, and for those of you on the West Coast tonight, on the CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm John Dickerson in Washington.
Welcome back. I'm Lana Zach. We have been covering the president's remarks and this breaking news about a mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas, that claimed the lives of at least 18 school children, elementary school children. At least one teacher, we believe, is also deceased. We know that there are also others that are injured. We still have yet to learn exactly how many people, and the situation is still dire. We heard from President Biden addressing that school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, just moments ago. He called for a backbone as a nation. He said that when he hoped that when he became president, he would not have to do this again. And he spoke about the children, seeing their friends die as if they were on a battlefield. We also heard President Biden tap into the well of grief that he, as a parent who lost children, could uniquely respond to. And he said to lose a child is to have a piece of your soul ripped away. After the president made remarks like that, he turned his attention to action, legislative action. He said, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name are we going to do what we know needs to be done? I want to go now to Zeke Miller, who is there in the White House. Zeke is a CBS News political contributor and White House reporter for the Associated Press. Zeke, as I understand, you were right there in the room. We heard the president say, quote, I am